All right, I think we are live here. Hello, I'm Dr. Mario Harrow, Associate Professor of Stephen F. Austin State University, and it's a great honor to be one of the first presenters of a series of webinars hosted by MTNA. I see we do have a chat room here if you wanted to type in questions or snarky remarks to anything that I am presenting here today. Feel free to do so in the chat area here on the webinar. I can't promise that I'll be answering questions, but if you wanted to post up questions there may be some other people in the chat room that might address those, but I'll probably saving most of my responses to questions posed in the chat room at the end of the webinar, which I'm going to estimate around 45 minutes past the hour or so. And if you have to leave, that's perfectly fine. Hello, everyone. Nice seeing everyone saying hi and being so cheerful here on a Friday morning here. The title of my presentation, of course, is Capturing Magical Musical Moments on Video. And if you have any other questions, even after, if you have to leave early, I've put my email address here. If you don't have my email address, make sure that you include that in your notes. And you could also reach me through various social media that I'm really easily searchable there on the search engines and also through social media as well here. So let me cycle through some of my slides, and I apologize if I'm juggling around a little bit here, but that's kind of the neat thing about this platform here. Here we are in 2016 there, but I wanted to rewind back a little bit to the year 2006, almost 10 years ago. There's a picture of me from the when I was giving one of my first presentations at an MTNA national conference, and coincidentally here in the state of Texas here, not here in Nacogdoches, Texas, but in Austin, Texas there. There you can see I look a lot younger and happier in some ways, but I actually had two presentations in my very first year of MTNA, the national conference, and a part of their technology track back then. One was on making your students stars in the home theater with DVDs. That was cool back then. And the other one was on another emerging technology, podcasting. Now, even though some of that technology is a bit older today, the importance of capturing your students' magical musical moments on video still prevails with us even to this day. I think the difference between today and back in 2006 is that it's so much easier to deliver the digital videos in an online format so that students, families, and friends can watch them on their computers, internet-capable television sets, tablets, phones, and other mobile devices. Now, before we get into that here, wait, let me just, I wanted to share a video first, because that's kind of like what I do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of those magical moments on video. This is one of the silly videos that I have of my son and his musical adventures. So let me load up that video for you guys here and just play it. It's only about 30 seconds or 40 seconds long here, and hope you enjoy.
Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year. So that was, again, I edited that video myself here, and with a very simple software program that I'll demonstrate a little bit later on in the webinar that I have here today here. But nonetheless, let's move on. Let me tell you a little bit about what I am going to be discussing here today. And hopefully this kind of fits in with some of your needs as far as what we're going to be discussing here within the limited time that we have. Number one, simple ways of capturing your students' performances and sharing them with potential audience members. Number two, issues regarding parental consent and copyright. Number three, video editing software to kind of achieve some of the results of the little video that I had shown to you guys also earlier. And number four is the live broadcasting of students' performances. This is one of the most exciting developments because it's never been easier to do this both on a limited budget and also with minimal technological know-how. So now why, hold on a second. Why is it important to capture on video? Well, the way that I see it, music, of course, is a temporal art in that, and recording our students, I think, allows us to go back in time and relive those experiences. But even more important, we learn from those experiences as well. I think particularly here in the 21st century, we need to kind of keep a digital portfolio of some of our students' progress, and it allows you and them to actually realize how much progress has been made. And it's been amazing to see where they came from, I should say, and where they are, but also puts into perspective the amount of patience that it takes to see those students mature into the musicians that they are today. Also, many schools, including Stephen F. Austin State University, where I teach here in Texas, accept video auditions. And there's a growing number of online competitions for music students to participate in. One of those that I got my son involved in was this, these past couple of years, was this Social Music Works online piano competition they did. And you know, many competitions ask for video screenings, and then they invite you to perform live in the competition for the judges. But this one was kind of unique in that they just invited students to submit videos, and that was the competition. So you could record it wherever you wanted to. It could be in here. You see some people recording it in their living rooms, some of them in their teacher studios, some of them in recital halls and concert halls as well here. So and my son did pretty well with those there. He got second prize on the, I think, the classical division, and they even had an audience choice award for various categories, and he was able to do very well in that. So it becomes particularly important here in the 21st century that we don't just prepare our students to be able to present themselves very well on the real live concert stage there, but also to present themselves also on camera, I think is becoming a particular important skill, not just for the students, but also for the teachers to try to prepare them for these types of environments that they may be asked to be put in here, all right? Another online competition or contest, I should say, was this Share the Celebration contest that the Royal Conservatory had sponsored. Students from all across North America would submit videos celebrating the release of their new syllabus and the new celebration series that goes in conjunction with the syllabus. And it was really neat to see all the different students from across North America to submit in these particular videos and have the students learn from each other as far as, wow, they play it in a different way than I do, and so kind of including everyone in this global community here. So now, before I go on here, I feel I need to address the issue of parental consent to video record and photograph students. And whenever video recording and taking photos of your students, you should always get written permission from the students and the parents to use their images. those of you who follow me on social media probably know that I shamelessly post up images and photos and videos of my two kids and their performances. And it's easy for me as a parent there, but not every parent is as open about sharing their performances or images of their kids due to privacy and other concerns, and legitimately so here. But as MTNA members, a lot of us don't realize that MTNA has a template for a photo and video authorization form on its website, and I wanted to show that to you guys here through the wonderful magic of screen sharing. Actually, let me open up my web browser here. And where did I put it? Oh, actually, yeah. Here we go. Let me open up a new window in Safari here and go to mtna.org. And let me do the screen sharing here. So if you go, oops, sorry, just juggling things around here. All right, so does everyone see my web browser here? And those of you who don't know, the MTNA website is at mtna.org. On the bottom left, under member discounts, there's a tab for members only. So if you go ahead and click on that, you'll have to log in with your email address that you have on file with MTNA, and also your MTNA member number. And if you forgot your password, and you can have that all emailed to you as well there, but you go ahead and log in with those credentials. Then you'll see various documents that are only available online to members who verify their credentials here. And the one that you're probably most interested in here is the legal documents. And go ahead there under legal documents and see business related documents. There's also teaching related documents, and you'll see these two authorization and release forms here. One of them includes authorizing and taking usage of photos and videos. So what I'll do is let me get out of that for the time being here. I've already downloaded it to my computer, so I wanted to show you what that form in particularly looks like here. And here it goes. Here it is. So does everyone see the photograph and videotape authorization form? Now you can edit this as you feel necessary, but it's a good template there. Like in particular, I don't have any video cameras that use videotape anymore, so maybe you might need to change that to video record. But nonetheless, that's just a little technicality here. But as far as what's included in the form, the name of the instructor, the parent, the child here, what is it that you're asking the parent to authorize is to take and use photographs or videotape of their child, I should say, for promotional and educational purposes on the website and other educational or promotional materials used by the music instructor. So clearly defines that there. They can initialize right next to it there. It also has these check boxes, whether the parents want to authorize you to include their or not to include the child's name in conjunction with the photographs. So some parents might be okay with you sharing the images and the video, but they might not want you to associate their names with that there. So maybe make that clear to them as well. And then there's also another area where you can include some other types of activity as well. And of course, the signature of the parent and the date associated with this. So before you share video or photos on your website or social media, make sure you get the parent's approval, sign this document, and keep it for your records so that you don't get into any legal difficulties with the people involved as far as that's concerned here, right? I don't normally address the questions, but I saw someone said about do I ever blur, Andrew asked, do I ever blur the student's face in the videos? That's one possibility that you can do, and I have some software that I can, but I haven't done so. Most of the parents these days are pretty willing. They'll either say yes or they'll say no, and that's one way that you can address that particular issue here. So let's move on here. Now that we've talked about that, let's discuss various devices, and you can continue chatting on about that. I see some of you discussing that in the chat room here, but in order for me to get through everything here, I want to talk about the different devices that you can use to capture students' performances and some of the advantages and disadvantages of their use here. Here in the 21st century now, a lot of cameras are on mobile devices such as phones and tablets, and some of the advantages of that that many of us have experienced is that we can that these devices are directly connected to the internet, so you can be recording there right on your phone, and then boom, you can just, with just a few taps there, you could either share it through YouTube or through your various social media fairly easily. They make it so easy on these particular devices there, and that's one of the advantages of shooting on these particular devices. Some of the disadvantages that I found with using mobile devices is that there's limited storage. I mean, on what you can save onto your mobile device. So I don't recommend. I don't know if any teachers out there have recorded a whole like 30 or 40-minute recital on their phone or not there. But I mean, just holding it there is not particularly comfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but and you of course have those limitations in storage. Even if you have like cloud storages and so forth there, you probably have better options if you want to shoot a longer recital. Another one is that image sensors are limited in comparison to other video cameras. I don't want to get too technical as far as that's concerned, and a lot of the phones are getting a lot better as far as the sensors. They're trying to get a little bit closer to video cameras that are just dedicated to shooting video there. But since there's so many other tasks that a lot of these phones and mobile devices have to do there, then oftentimes the quality of the camera is not ideal for a particular performance. Where this usually stands out the most to me is between the optical zoom and digital zoom. Now, many of you on your smartphones may do the little pinch to zoom while you're zooming in. Let's say you're standing at the back of the recital hall and you zoom in by pinching in. And you might notice that the image quality gets all pixelated and all grainy there. And what's resulting in that is that it's using a digital zoom that's just taking that image and then just blowing it up so that you can see the farther away here. But it's only using a digital zoom here. The difference between that and an optical zoom is that with optical zooms, you're zooming in with particular lenses and mirrors, and then you get a more faithful reproduction. So even if you're shooting from a far distance using optical zooms, then you can get a really good view of the subject on stage, even if you're all the way in the back of a hall here. So that's why in many cases, particularly with something as important as like an audition or maybe a competition or a recital that you want to broadcast, sometimes you want to go with some kind of dedicated video camera that isn't necessarily connected to the internet, but you want to capture it in in really high quality here. You also have the large storage options. Here's an older camera that I have here. This is a Panasonic HD, AVC HD camcorder. And what it does is it has, oops, let me try to open it here. There we go. It records onto these little SD cards that many of you are probably familiar with. And this particular card holds 16 gigabytes, and I believe that might hold between 6 and 8 hours of video. So that's enough to definitely satisfy for a recital or concert, but then you can even have more events saved for later on. And then what you can do with that particular memory card is you can put that into your computer if it has an SD card reader, and if your computer does not have an SD card reader, you can definitely purchase some kind of card reader adapter that goes into your USB ports and then import the video that way. That's one of the also tedious tasks regarding these particular digital video cameras, is that you need to import them into your computer probably before sharing, is the experiences that I've had as far as that's concerned. And on top of that there, you would also want to edit these videos. Sometimes you record more. Let's say you record a whole recital, but then you just want that one performance. Then you'll have to edit the video down to something that is digestible to your audience online as well here. So what I wanted to talk about next is, oops, not that there, here. By the way, those of you who are photography buffs, a lot of DSLR cameras do have the ability to record high definition video there, and there's some really great videos that I've seen of people using that particular hardware. I'm not really so much of a photo buff there, but that might be something that you might want to explore as well. Video editing software, I have to confess that I'm a little bit heavy favorable on the Apple side of products here, and if any of you are more on the Windows or Android side of computing, then feel free to chime in the chat room with some various options that you have as far as comparable software programs. iMovie, of course, is free for Apple computers and also even iOS devices, the phones and the iPads as well. And it's a great program, introductory program into some simple digital video editing. The program that I like to use the most, and it's also, unfortunately, it's only exclusive for Mac computers, Apple Mac computers, is ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow is a program that I've used to make video lessons with its ability to record your computer's desktop simultaneously with other camera sources. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to show how I use ScreenFlow to create that first video that I showed of my son playing saxophone and piano at the same time. So let me open up ScreenFlow and share that for you guys real quick. Hello, Stella. Thank you for chiming in, by the way, about Camtasia, which is on the Windows side of things here as well. Here is ScreenFlow. Let me open up and show you what ScreenFlow looks like. Does everyone see ScreenFlow here? This is my two Neos here. And the way what I love about ScreenFlow in comparison to iMovie and some other video editing programs is you can record two different videos. That's what I did. I recorded one video of him just at the piano. Here, let me actually make this easier for you guys to comprehend like what's going on in this warped reality here. I recorded one video of him sitting at the piano. He's actually playing on a Yamaha DSLR piano. And then another one of him playing on the saxophone here. And what I did was he recorded himself on that one video on the Yamaha DSLR. And I don't know if you guys can see that the keys are moving up and down here because it is a player piano. And that was kind of the magic on how we were able to do that. We were able to crop off one part of the video and kind of mix them all up in together. And then, yay, you got magic as far as having the two students playing together at the same time here. So that's the little magic trick there. Now, not all of you want to do this particular magic trick. You just want simple video editing properties. And that's what this program is really great at, is that you can add titles. Like if I just go ahead and click on text here, I could say, oops, excuse me, here and say the two Neos. And we can place that wherever we want on there. In particular, if you're sharing videos and you don't have anyone to announce what the piece is, you can just put in something as simple as this was O Tannenbaum. And it will have that on screen without anyone having to announce it there. So that's one of the ways that you can enhance the video experience so that if they don't even have a program in front of them, then they can do that as well. You could also add transitions and other really neat features. If we had more time, I would go into that in more detail, but you can catch me at maybe one of the future conferences coming up to learn more a little bit about that particular program here, right? Oh, what do we have next here? Oh, by the way, that ScreenFlow program and also many of these video editing programs, one of the neat things about them is that you can share directly to various online platforms that you would like to share them with, including YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook. Those are the three main ones that I particularly use with my students as far as online video sharing here. Let me try Yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about copyright. This is probably one of the most common questions I get there is like, what do we do about copyright there? Are we in violation of copyright laws here? We're in an interesting time, I think, where if we want to share video and audio of our students performing someone else's music in public, you are supposed to get permission or pay a license to perform that music. Now, I'm not a lawyer here, but you may want to consult a lawyer if you're in doubt if you are violating any laws or not. But also want to make you all aware of a document from MTNA's General Counsel, that same place where I showed the parent consent form on the MTNA website in the members only section. There's a document on copyright, or at least frequently asked questions regarding copyright. And I implore every MTNA member to read through that document to get to know, like what is copyright or copy wrong. I stole that. I actually stole that, and I have to give credit to that particular phrase, copyright versus copy wrong, from a book that I reviewed a few years ago from in American Music Teacher magazine, if you want to look that up, by Jim Frankel. Music teacher over in New York, I believe, and his book entitled The Teacher's Guide to Music, Media, and Copyright Law. There's so many different scenarios that he talks about here that we encounter here in the 21st century that he addresses and advises us as far as how to handle various issues in copyright. But make sure that you definitely read that, at least that document on copyright in the MTNA members section as well here. Let's see. Whew. Here we go. Of course, even after reading it, there are various complications that we come across. In particular, many of you have maybe encountered some difficulties regarding copyright as it relates to YouTube, since it's one of the most widely used video sharing sites. And YouTube has a technology embedded within it to digitally identify if videos contain music owned by another party, if it is part of their huge database. And when it is identified, the copyright owners are notified and can do one of a few different things. One is they can ask YouTube to take the video down. They can block it in certain countries. And number three, they can also, and more often they do this, they place advertisements on it so that they can monetize any views made on that video. Now, anyone who's followed me on social media may have heard of some of my interesting tales with YouTube and videos of classical music. Compositions that were composed before 1923 are generally in the public domain. But you have to also consider that recordings of classical music usually have a copyright holder behind it there. So we're talking about the composed music of Mozart and Beethoven are generally in the public domain, and no one holds a copyright over that. However, here's a screenshot of one of the copyright notices that I received on a video that I had posted of my son playing through the Mozart, one of Mozart's piano concerti, and it was flagged by YouTube to match up with a commercial recording of Daniel Barenboim performing that same piano concerto. And while we're flattered to be in that same conversation, we were not using his recording of it. It was an original recording, but of course, this technology that they have has it was unable to distinguish between the two here. So there is a dispute process that you can go through on YouTube in order to go through this here, but then sometimes that's a little bit confusing. I don't know if everyone can see on the bottom of the screenshot that I have here. The way that I dispute it is they give you various choices on why you dispute it here. The one that I put down, which seemed most natural, was that this video does contain the Mozart concerto, but that but the material is in the public domain. So I included that there, but then my dispute was rejected, and then they took down the video and then put a copyright strike on my channel because they thought that I was claiming that Daniel Barenboim's audio recording of that same concerto was in the public domain, and that's where it gets all confusing as far as that's concerned. So when you're filling out these and you know that you have all of your own original content, and even if it's pulling in classical music that is in the public domain, don't pick the public domain dispute here. Make sure you pick that you are only using original content, and then you see where it says please explain briefly on this page. Then from there you can explain that this is been misidentified with a commercial recording. This is an original recording of a public domain work, and usually that solves the problem, removes any ads or any blocks that you have on the video. So it's still a work in progress as far as the procedures is concerned, but just be aware that you have to go through these necessary hoops, particularly if you're uploading music from the classical era that is oftentimes flagged incorrectly here, okay? And I don't feel so guilty on uploading students playing popular music. That's the kind of ironic thing about this here, playing popular music covers on YouTube, because there has now been a precedent that has been set where they've instituted this instant monetization where they rightfully reimburse the people who own the copyright, all right? But so I don't feel so bad about that there, particularly as it relates to YouTube, all right? But it's just been difficult with classical music because it has problems distinguishing between artists like Daniel Barenboim and my son's playing. So be sure to dispute those any chance that you get. And if you ever have one of those and want some consultation, let me know, and I'll be happy to advise you based off of the experiences that I have here, right? Now, the most amazing or most exciting development in video technology is the ability for even mere mortals like you and me to broadcast video live, kind of like what we're doing right now here in this webinar. Of course, this can extend into the recital hall with some accessible broadcasting platforms. These are three that I've had some experience with here. Ustream is what our university uses here to broadcast live performances. There's also Livestream. I believe the Minnesota International Piano E competition, I believe, use Livestream, or maybe they have switched platforms, but that has come across very well here. And not a lot of people realize that also YouTube also has a live platform. If your account is in good standing, that's the key thing here, is you need to have an account in good standing and then also enable those live features there. And they don't give it to anyone there. They want to make sure that you're a reputable person there. You can broadcast live through YouTube here. Let me show you how you get into that actually here. Let me go into the screen sharing here. Oh, sorry, wrong button here. So let me go into my YouTube channel here. Can everyone see my YouTube channel here? This is the Creator Studio, by the way. When you log into YouTube with your Google or YouTube credentials here, you have the video manager, and then there's also this live streaming tab if you have that particularly enabled within your account. And if you don't, then go into your channel, I think, settings, and then see if you have that can enable that as well. I'm gonna click on that live streaming here. And really, it is as simple for those of you who have uploaded videos on YouTube before. It really is almost as simple as just uploading a video where you put in your information as far as like what's the title of your broadcast or video, and then you say this is a live recital. And then you can also put in various other categories as well. Now, what you have to do is you have to set up encoding software. This is where it gets more complicated than just simply uploading a video here. It says before you can start streaming to YouTube, you need to download encoding software and then set it up. Learn about live verified encoders in our guide to encoding. And they have a really good guide to encoding here where they tell you to set up your live streaming encoder. You have to run a separate software program on your computer in order to capture that video and then send it over to YouTube. You could also do it through Hangouts on Air. I believe that's kind of what we're doing with this webinar as well. But these are a list of different encoders that you could use, and they list down whether it's for Mac, Windows, or Android. The one that I use the most is this Wirecast Play. There is a free version available that I use to stream from my computer's desktop to the world, they say here. And I wanted to show the interface, and I can't go into that much detail here just because of our time constraints here, but let me go ahead and screen share what I'm doing with Wirecast. I'm actually using that right now in our webinar, but let me screen share what the Wirecast interface looks like here. So here we are, we're broadcasting live, everything in this window here. And down here, I can choose all my different shots for where I am. I could use my FaceTime camera on my computer like this. I also have a Sony digital video camera that's connected through each HDMI adapter. And that comes out with a much more pristine quality, and I'm able to display videos in that fashion. And then I can add titles here. There's various settings where you can add text and titles to it there, and that's particularly effective in a live performance. Like if you're giving a live recital, you don't have programs that you can hand out to the viewers. So sometimes you want to throw in titles of the pieces of what you're covering with the particular live broadcast. What you do is you set up the output settings, and then you simply click on the stream button. I don't know if everyone can see the stream button. What I love about Wirecast Play is I can also record it directly onto my computer as well simultaneously, so I can have an archive of it there in case anything goes wrong with the live broadcast that goes along with that as well here. So let me share with you a video of one of the archived live broadcasts that I had of my son playing. And this was all done using this Wirecast software and also the YouTube live broadcasting features here. If I can find my way back. Sorry, I have so many windows to juggle here. Let me go back into here and go into videos. And go into, nope, wrong one here. Here it is. So this was one back in, I think, November that we did. And this is him playing one of his recitals. right, so that was just a little sample of how you can broadcast live on using Wirecast Play and YouTube. Some of the advantages is, as you saw, you're able to add titles both before the broadcast starts, and then also in the middle of the broadcast, I was able to add that little picture-in-picture title of the Bach Prelude from the Well-Tempered Clavier, so that it shows up down on the bottom, so that viewers know what's coming up. I was also able to zoom in because I was connected to this Sony video camera using the Wirecast software program that I'm using here. Now, a lot of teachers I know, well, I haven't peeked in the chat room here lately here. Oh, before I wanted to talk about that, I did want to talk about the, well, what kind of internet speed, because sometimes you're at the mercy of whatever the internet speed is in the recital hall that you have here. And I use this speedtest.net website to measure the internet speeds. It's kind of hilarious to kind of look at some of the differences that we have here. The one on the left side here that you see that says sudden link, the one that says download 30.46 and upload 5.46. A lot of this, that's from my home internet, my cable internet service provider. Now, if you don't know what these mean, that's okay. What the main number that you're looking at is the upload speed. Particularly if you're broadcasting, you're sending a lot of information up through these live broadcasts, and you want as high of an upload speed as you possibly can. And it's kind of hilarious here. The bottom left one here, the 1.71 megabits per second was one from the National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy in the hotel. That was what they were, that was the speed that we were getting over their Wi-Fi network. So it was not ideal for live broadcasting. And unfortunately, some of you tried to maybe watch in some of those live broadcasts and maybe didn't quite have a great experience. And if you compare that to what we have here at Stephen F. Austin State University, you look at those numbers here on what the internet service provider, what our internet has here, we have a really ideal situation here at Stephen F. Austin State University where we have over 600 megabits per second for upload. So that's a pretty fantastic ideal situation that we're fortunate to have here. But nonetheless, a lot of teachers are wondering, well, you know, that seems really complicated to go through all of that for the live broadcast. I wish I could just go on my phone, pick it up, and then broadcast directly from my phone or mobile device. And that's kind of the neat things that are going on. There's two particular applications that I wanted to discuss here today. One is Periscope, which is associated with Twitter. So if you're a Twitter user, social media user, then your account is linked in with Periscope, and it allows you to broadcast live video straight from your mobile phone. And what's neat is there's this kind of embedded interactivity with it where viewers, when they're watching it live, it really is that simple. I was like really surprised. It's really that simple to do it, to broadcast live. Now, you're not going to get the same quality probably through this Wirecast and YouTube live broadcasting, and also you're at the mercy of whatever your phone upload speeds are. But you know, if you're just doing a real short live broadcast of a student's performance, then it's actually not that bad here. Let me show you one of the archived Periscope videos of my daughter playing at home. This is just from our own home internet. Thanks for this heart. Thank you. So from that Periscope app that you just witnessed there, people were actually just tapping on their own phones while they're watching that particular Periscope video, and they're adding on these little hearts. So as the camera person, I'm able to see the feedback that people are doing, as far as it's kind of like a virtual applauding of the music that they're having there, and they can even ask questions or put in comments as well here. So the live broadcasting is really that simple on the Periscope app as well. So if you want to check that out, I think it's periscope.tv, or you can also look that up as well. And then finally, also wanted to make people aware, and I know there's a lot of Facebook users here, they're starting to slowly roll out. They used to only have it available for celebrities. And unfortunately, I wasn't famous enough to be part of that particular group. But then I think it was just last month that they started rolling out the ability to live broadcast directly within Facebook here. And that's kind of the direction that they're going here. This is a screenshot just from my iPod Touch here in Facebook. And those of you who are familiar with the Facebook interface there, you see, you can share photos, you can tag people, you can say the mood that you're in and so forth, the location. Then you see that button next to where it says Nacogdoches there. That's the new button that if you just happen to be one of the fortunate ones out there, and I think many people have it there, but just double check. They might not have rolled it out in where you live here. You can record and share live video from that there. And I tested it out, and it was very comparable and much like the Periscope experience as far as that's concerned. One thing that I didn't like about it, well, I mean, it's true with any mobile devices. When you're holding it, I'm using it to record, or excuse me, broadcast my son doing the live, what is it? He was playing a Chopin prelude, a set of Chopin preludes, and it was a really long time, and I was getting tired holding up my iPhone or iPad. I think I was using the iPad for this one, and that can get a little bit tiresome. The advantage that Facebook has is it will save it as a video that can be watched later on. Periscope does the same thing, but it will delete it after 24 hours. So there's only this 24-hour window where people can rewatch that live broadcast that you did from your mobile phone. So some pretty exciting stuff, I think, as far as the technology, as far as that's concerned here. So we're already at 46 minutes here. So I think I'm going to wrap things up here a little bit, but let me just kind of address some of the questions that were asked here. I was just kind of looking over some of them here as well. Someone asked about audio. What I've done for, and you can check out if the audio on some of my live broadcasts that I've had on YouTube are pretty decent or not. I'm just using the built-in microphone on my video camera when I'm doing the Wirecast Play and YouTube live broadcasts. You can use that to improve the video. That's usually a lot better than like the built-in microphones on computers. And if you're still getting a lot of noise here, a couple things that I've used. There are USB microphones. There's this one by Blue. The Snowball isn't that great. It's a little bit outdated, to be honest. I think this one is about 2 or 3 years old here. I know some friends who use a Blue Yeti mic that you just plug into the USB, and Wirecast will allow you to do that as well. Another one that I use is this, and this one is also an older model, but it still works great here. It's a Zoom audio recorder. It records to SD cards. That's originally what it's intended for. But there is a USB cable that you can connect to your computer, and you can just use it simply as a microphone. And it's got these really wonderful professional condenser mics that go along with it here. Again, the company is Zoom, and you can look them up there. And yeah, I saw there were some questions about audio, microphones, and camera preferences there. So yeah, I mean, the camera that I use here, like just even I found that those dedicated video cameras on either from Panasonic or Sony, oftentimes those do the good trick there. And there's ways in Wirecast that I can adjust the gains and the volume levels there so that it's ideal. And you have to do some test broadcast to make sure that everything goes pretty well here. And some of you are chiming in with some other options there. How to use the Zoom with the camcorder? Oh, well, with the camcorder itself there, I mean, it depends. If you're doing it with a live broadcast, what I do is I connect it all to a Wirecast, that Wirecast Play program. And then I can select, I just want the video with my video camera, and then I want the audio to be done with my Zoom or whatever USB microphone that I'm using for that there. Now, if you're doing it as far as like recording, you're not doing a live broadcast. What I do is I record the video and audio on my camcorder, and I also simultaneously I record on one of these Zoom audio recorders, and then that ScreenFlow program that I used earlier, I can take that video and I can delete the audio from the video and then include the audio that came with this here. So that's how I do it on when I do pre-recorded videos there that I want to edit on a little bit later on here. Okay, so which Panasonic is mine there, or are you talking about mine? It's a really older model, so I doubt that they make these anymore here. I'm looking at mine. Mine says Panasonic HDC SD5 there, so in case anyone was wondering as far as that's concerned here. So videoing with the iPad, but need to mic the piano. Sound doesn't come through great on the iPad. Yeah, that's some of the shortcomings with the mobile devices, as far as like you know, you can get the iPad. You know, there was a quote that Steve Jobs had a few years ago regarding comparing computers and mobile devices or iPads with trucks and small cars there. And sometimes I think, you know, as far as iPads have come, and yes, there's the new iPad Pro, the iPads are not trucks. They are, you know, little vehicles there. And so sometimes we're asking them to do a little bit more than what they're currently capable of. And they're getting closer to computers there. So I think if you're looking for some really, you know, high quality audio, you know, there's ways that you can hook up some of these USB microphones to those mobile devices as well there. But I found the most success when still using the computers as the when I want to do my heavy lifting, as far as having high quality video and high quality audio as well here. Right. So let me see. Wow, people are still here. Thank you. I feel so flattered here. Do I recommend a mic to use with the iPad? I don't know. Whenever I've shared video, particularly the live stuff here, and you can go onto my, you know, my Facebook and look up some of the videos that I have on my Facebook page to see if the live video audio quality was good enough for what you do there. And I've never really had many terrible complaints as far as that's concerned. How do I handle time and date stamping? Many video auditions require that, or an analog clock showing during the entire video so we don't edit. Ooh, wow. I've never really encountered that, Andrew, so I can't really comment as far as that's concerned. I use very consumer level video editing software, and also video cameras and microphones. So the competitions and the auditions that I've really participated in never really required that there, and that's, to be honest, that's the first time that I've ever heard that there. But that's an interesting thing, you know, what stops someone from editing the video here. So yeah, we're coming up on 53 minutes, and we don't want to go over an hour here. So I'm going to wrap things up here. But I wanted to thank, in particular, I wanted to thank everyone for coming out to watch this webinar. And I especially wanted to thank Brian Shepard and Marcy Lindsay over at MTNA headquarters in Cincinnati for helping set this up. I apologize if I didn't address your questions here in the chat area, but you got my email address here up on the screen, and also you can connect with me through social media, and I'd be happy to continue the conversation. That's what's wonderful about all of this here. I will be at the MTNA National Conference in San Antonio, and you guys should be too, presenting on Monday, April 4th, and also for a Yamaha showcase on Tuesday, April 5th. Feel free to say hi to me at the conference and say how much you enjoyed this webinar. Crossing my fingers. And I'll also be part of this, I don't know how many of you are aware of this Music Ed Connect online conference that's going on next week. A lot of wonderful presenters out there. And I'm actually going to go in a lot more detail on the live broadcasting that I have here. So I think it's musicedconnect.com if you want to register for that online conference. And stay tuned, of course, for more exciting webinars in the future from MTNA. So thank you, everyone, and have a good one. Bye.